Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and I'd like to do a little video today that's a little bit different. This is just 10 films that I think should either be on the Criterion collection or Eureka Masters of Cinema or Arrow, particularly on Blu-ray, hopefully. Because these labels do a great job of finding films that maybe are out of print or films that people have kind of forgotten about or just don't know about, and restoring them to their previous glory or new glory. Obviously this is going to be an ongoing series, because obviously there's more than 10 films in the world that deserve better treatment or better exposure. So this is just going to be a kind of quick video highlighting 10 films, but again it could easily be 100 films. So let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas of your own. I'm sure you do. Or even better, if you can tell me where these films are available on Blu-ray, I will gladly take that information. So there's no particular order, so we might as well just start with the first one, and this is Sleuth by Joseph Mankiewicz, and this is the original one with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier, because as it is with quite a lot of things these days, the remake with Michael Caine and Jude Law is readily available on Blu-ray. I haven't seen that version. I don't particularly want to see that version. But this is an absolutely fantastic film if you love scripts, because obviously this is just a two-header. It's literally just Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier for 2 hours. But the script is just so fantastic. It's about games and games playing. Michael Caine is having an affair with Laurence Olivier's wife, and he wants to marry her. And Laurence Olivier is quite happy to kind of let him have her, but he wants to have his kind of fun with Michael Caine first, and it's just a series of dark and perverse mind games, and it's just fantastic. 2 great performances. It's kind of the clash of kind of upper class Englishness played by Laurence Olivier, an establishment, and Michael Caine is the kind of nouveau rich of Britain. He's a hairdresser, he owns hair salons, which obviously Laurence Olivier's character finds contemptible. So there is a kind of class culture going on as well, which again I haven't seen the remake, and I don't know whether that has the same kind of amount of depth or kind of social satire as this one does. But again, as far as I know, it's only on DVD, and it would be fantastic if Criterion or Eureka or Arrow or Indicator came out with a new Blu-ray release of this one. Fantastic film. The next one is, if you cast your mind back to the 1970s, this is the Parallax View with Warren Beatty. And if you remember, in the 70s, mainstream Hollywood actually made great films that were challenging. They expected the audience to think for themselves. They expected the audience to kind of work things out themselves. They were generally political, but they were still entertaining. And unlike nowadays, they kind of had endings that were suitable for the film, instead of you know, the film's going a certain way and then they just change the ending to make it seem a bit more palatable. The 70s films were kind of grittier, more realistic, less glamorous. And this is a perfect example of that. It starts off with an assassination, and Warren Beatty's a reporter who kind of investigates that and then gets embroiled in a conspiracy. It's a fantastic film, a quintessential 70s film, and Alan J. Pakula directed it. And this was it was less than 10 years after the Kennedy assassination. I think this was 71. And it's a brilliant film, it's a brilliant ending, and it really needs a Blu-ray update. That would be absolutely fantastic. The next one is David Mamet's Homicide. I do apologise just for holding up DVDs. This is a fantastic film. It's one of Mamet's masterpieces. Mamet, of course, is famous for his dialogue, which at once kind of seems stylised, but then it's also realistic, because Mamet understands that people kind of talk nonsense at times. They repeat themselves at times. You know, when they're emotional, when they're angry, they don't really make much sense. And Mamet kind of captures that in his dialogue. Obviously his profanity is very colourful as well. This is a cop film, but it's probably unlike any cop film you've seen before. I do remember recommending this to somebody to watch with their friends. I said it's a really good cop film, and they were completely confused by it because it wasn't your typical cop film. It stars Joe Mantegna, who's investigating a homicide, strangely enough, at a corner store owned by a Jewish lady, and then gets embroiled in a conspiracy that may or may not actually be real. Again, the dialogue's fantastic. William H. Macy gives a gives a wonderful turn. This was kind of before William H. Macy was kind of famous. And it's just a fantastic film. The dialogue is just amazing. And again, this is available on Criterion DVD, so there's really no reason why Criterion don't release it as a Blu-ray, and that would be fantastic. I keep saying fantastic, but there's lots of things that are fantastic. The next one is A Bittersweet Life, and this is a Kim Ji-won film from Korea. Now, there are Blu-ray editions available, but they're kind of French with no English subtitles, and I think there's a German one but with no English subtitles, and to my shame I'm not that fluent in German, and I'm certainly not that fluent in Korean. Maybe I should learn. But this is a great film. It's just got a wonderful vibe to it. It's about a guy who gets to look after the gang boss's girlfriend, and obviously things don't go well, because you never see a film with a guy looking after a gangster's mall that goes really well. It looks fantastic. It's a great performance by Byung-hun Lee. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, probably haven't. And it really deserves a good Blu-ray release on, Criterion or Arrow or Eureka. It's a lovely film. Well, it's not a lovely film, but you know what I mean. The next one is one of the more controversial films ever made, and it's Crash by David Cronenberg. Just about all of Cronenberg's films are available on Blu-ray, apart from this one. Again, please tell me in the comments if I'm completely wrong. This would be a film that you wouldn't particularly watch very often, but for me it does have Criterion or Arrow written all over it. It's just, like most of the Cronenberg's films, it's intelligent, it's challenging, and it really deserves to be kind of reassessed and seen on a much better print, hopefully with a Cronenberg commentary, because Cronenberg commentaries are fantastic. Even though he's one of the smartest filmmakers in the planet, in his commentaries he still comes across as being humble, he still comes across as being self-depreciatory about himself, but he's just so smart, and that comes across. But he's also such a nice guy, or certainly that comes across in his commentaries. So this would be fantastic on Criterion with a David Cronenberg commentary. Crash. The next one is Citizen X. Now this is an HBO film, so I don't know the kind of print availability or the kind of copyright laws, or whether Criterion or Arrow or Eureka would be able to get a Blu-ray print of this. This is a fantastic serial killer film, based on a real life serial killer in Russia, allegedly Russia's first, which I do remember seeing news footage when he was actually caught, which must have been the early 90s. And this stars Stephen Ray as a medical examiner who kind of stumbles across bodies and realises there's a mass killer on loose, which obviously under communist Russia the kind of party denied that kind of thing would go on in Russia, and it's a Western problem and it's not really a Russian problem. It's great support by Donald Sutherland, an outrageously subtle performance by Joss Ackland. That's not quite the word, subtle, but it's a really fantastic little film. Max von Sydow just gives another wonderful performance as a psychiatrist who tries to write a profile of the killer to help catch him. It's just a fantastic film, but I'm not sure how many people have actually seen it, and a Blu-ray release, certainly by Criterion or Arrow or Eureka Masters of Cinema, would certainly help its reputation. And it's one of those films that's almost perfect. It really is. Citizen X. Now this one is John Sayles' City of Hope. Now again, as you may have watched, and hopefully you have, my top 10 John Sayles films, one of the main problems with John Sayles films is either nobody's seen them or they're very difficult to see, and City of Hope is probably the biggest example of this. This is one of his masterworks. It's a sprawling character study of how a city works, pretty much, from City Hall down to street hustlers and everything in between. He talks about both racial issues, sexual issues, political issues. It's just a masterpiece. But again, it's not available on DVD. This is a kind of DVR of it, and it's just such a shame. John Sayles films on the whole need to have more exposure, but City of Hope especially really deserves Criterion to release. I mean, Criterion, it's my dream that one day Criterion will release a John Sayles box set. That would be absolutely awesome. But City of Hope, very hard to find, sadly, but an absolute masterpiece. And now I'm just going to actually hold boxes up instead of just a disc. So the film that I really want to talk about is by Claude Chabrol, and it's Labiche, or The Butcher, which this is the still of. This is a DVD set which actually has 8 of his films, which is a fantastic set on DVD. And this is volume 2, which has another 6. So these are fantastic DVD sets, but there's actually not many Claude Chabrol films, certainly from the 60s and 70s, available on Blu-ray at all. And my personal favourite is Labiche, about a school teacher in the country and her relationship with the town's butcher, and there happens to be murders going on. I don't know whether this actually qualifies as a French giallo. I'm not sure you can actually have a French giallo, but it's an Italian form, but it certainly count as one, maybe a little bit more restrained than a giallo, a bit more classy perhaps. No offence to giallo fans, because I will be doing a top 10 giallo at some point. But this is just a lovely film. Stefan Adron even, which I've probably butchered her name, pardon the pun, is fantastic, and it's a wonderful film, but again, not available on Blu-ray as far as I know. Please correct me in the comments, but that would be a fantastic addition to Criterion. Labiche, or to be honest, any of the 8 films on this set. And second last film I'm going to talk about, again, I only have a copy of on DVD. It's a Saijit Ray film. It's not the Apu trilogy, because this is available on Criterion Blu-ray. This is the Artificial Eye DVD set of the Apu trilogy. But the film I want to talk about is Days and Nights in the Forest by Saijit Ray. Now again, I saw Days and Nights in the Forest late at night on television, which is where I saw most of my favourite films, and it's just a fantastic film. It's about 4 guys who go into the countryside to a villa and just hang out and get into trouble, fall in love, and then return to the city, which obviously doesn't sound that interesting or anything, but it's just so well shot, so well acted. It's an absolute delight. And as far as I know, it's not even available on DVD. Artificial Eye and Criterion have done a good job of kind of restoring Saijit Ray films. Obviously The Music Room is on Criterion, the Apu trilogy is on Criterion, and there are other Blu-ray releases of his films, but for some reason Days and Nights in the Forest has just disappeared. I really hope there's still prints available, because maybe they just don't have any prints, or they can't find it, or the print stock is unusable, which would be a tragedy. But if somebody out there happens to know if there's any prints of Days and Nights in the Forest, that would be a fantastic addition to Criterion or Eureka, because it's just a fantastic film. Yeah. So the last film I'm going to talk about actually has a DVD release, and it's My American Uncle, or Mon Oncle Amérique, by Alain Resnais, who obviously directed a couple of other masterpieces, Last Year at Marienbad, and of course Night and Fog, one of the most important films ever made. But this is My American Uncle, which is just one of my favourite films of all time. It is an amazing film. It's one of the few films that makes you think about your existence. It has 3 main characters, including Gerard Depardieu, Roger Pierre and Nicole Garcia, and it pretty much follows events in their life, which again doesn't seem that interesting or different. But then there's a 4th character who's like a behavioural psychologist or a biologist who appears talking to the camera about people's behaviour, and the patterns. And then of course we just see these three characters, their lives are played out and they get into like flight or fight situations, intercut with the scientist talking about it, and it's just really profound. It's kind of got a tough first 15 minutes. It's just still images, but once you get past that, it's just an absolutely, well, it's a masterpiece. It will appear when I'm doing a top 10 Resnay films, and it probably would be in my top 20 films of all time, because it does make you think about your life, because we all like to think we're unique and special, but we all kind of go through the same kind of events, and it's absolutely fantastic. And again, on Criterion or Eureka or Arrow, this would be fantastic. I mean, we are lucky to have it on DVD. It's not the easiest thing to find on DVD anymore, whereas obviously earlier films we don't even have DVD releases of. Yeah, My American Uncle, absolutely wonderful. So I apologise if I've been rambling incoherently, but that was just 10 films that I think should get a Blu-ray release, and hopefully on one of those major labels that do such a good job with supplements and restoration prints. So if you like the video, please leave a like, please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos, and please do make a list of the films that you would quite like to see on Criterion or Eureka or Arrow. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again.